now, without further ado, we have some cool stuff happening, a Q&A coming up right now. I'd like to bring out the managing editor of Fangoria. It's Michael Gingold. Come on out here, buddy.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. You're part of a very select group of people who just got to see that trailer for the first time before anyone else gets to see it. It's going to be premiering later on tonight. And to introduce our special guest for this evening, in 1984, an up-and-coming actress appeared in a film called A Nightmare on Elm Street that came out of nowhere and became a horror classic. She went on to quite a career in many diverse films, including any number of other horror films. She's faced Critters, Snakes on a Plane, and A Big-Ass Spider. She's also been in such classic comedies as Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary. And then about 4 years ago, she appeared in a small film, just like Nightmare on Elm Street, that came out of nowhere and became a sensation. That film, of course, was Insidious. It was followed 2 years later by Insidious Chapter 2, where we learned a bit more about her character. And now in Insidious Chapter 3, we're going to go back to the beginning. This is an origin story where we're going to learn about how Elise first got started in the paranormal business, how she first hooked up with Specs and Tucker, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the Further as well. And most of all, we're going to learn that when the evil from the Further comes into your life, who are you going to call? Lin Shaye.
Yeah. She's so skinny.
Thank you. Audiences seem to love origin stories. We see lots of them these days. We have superhero origins and villain origins. So what was it like being part of an origin story of your own?
It was totally exciting because as an actor, I'm always interested in filling in the blank spaces. Sometimes the audience gets to see those blank spaces, but mostly they don't because it's work you do in bed at night all by yourself, trying to figure out why do I act this way, why would I say something like that, are there things in my background that would promote that kind of behavior. And in this situation, when anyone else said they were going to be going back to my beginning in terms of, well, you'll see, I can't tell you too much, but to go back to my beginning way before you know what Elise was like and what her family was like, or if she had a family, I was totally thrilled. And the script was so beautiful. It's a very beautiful script. It's very emotional and it's full of a lot of heart. And that's something that both James and Lee are experts at on some level, but I feel of the three, this one is the richest, certainly for me, so I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Insidious has... Insidious does have a really rabid fan base. The movie's up to 4 million fans on Facebook. So what is it about the series in general that you think provokes that kind of enthusiasm?
I think that's partly James and Lee's skill. They make them very human, and I think the stories that they tell have a great humanity to them, so it reaches very far. And I think people are touched by it. You know, in the first one, people say that James has this ability to take a family drama and turn it upside down on its head. And he takes you to all the safe places, bouncing balls, a baby monitor, your bedroom, cooking in the kitchen, things that are very familiar to all of us and that are very safe places for most of us. And then he infuses that with fear, and which is a very powerful emotion, as we all know. And everyone has their own independent fears. And I think that because of the familiarity with which he builds his stories, he touches fear in a lot of us in different ways. And I think that's part of why they're so successful to all kinds of, you know, young people, older people. It's not like there's no age range that this covers. It's all of it.
And Insidious is also kind of unique because you don't have one central, even though you had things like the lipstick demon, the real villain is the Further, which is a place and a dimension as opposed to just an individual. What is it about that you think sparks fear in so many people?
I think it's the unknown. That there's so much, I always say there's so much we know so little about. And there are far reaches, I mean, both physically and physiologically, you know, in terms of, cosmically is really the better word, you know, in terms of our universe and what a small, little, tiny nothing we are in the midst of all that, and how we all are so self-important in our own way. And there's something about moving off into that place that we have no control over. I think all of us seek control, which we think leads to happiness. I don't know if I totally believe that. I think sometimes letting yourself really feel and understand things without trying to control everything, you learn more about yourself and you can actually find a greater happiness. So I think the idea that this place exists, who knows, maybe good things can happen in the further. We've never really, I mean, who knows? You know, I don't even know if James and Lee know that.
That said, do you have a favorite demon from the series?
I have to say I love them all, but I mean, the lipstick demon is, I think, gorgeous. I know that's a weird thing to say, as scary as he is. And Joe Bishara, that played the lipstick demon, as you all know, is the composer also of the film scores, is a brilliant guy. And I don't know how much he had to do with design, or if he had anything to do with the design of the character. But watching him get into makeup, it was like 7 hours to put him into all that. And Ty Simkin, who plays the little boy in the first two, who's he's older in the second one, but knowing it was Joe getting into this makeup was uncontrollably hysterical once Joe was in makeup. He just couldn't put together that still was the same person that he was not afraid of. So, I mean, I have to say, he's probably one of my favorites. There's a demon, well, there's a force. I won't even say too much about that in the next film, in 3, that is scary in a different kind of way, too. It's, and actually the actor who plays the role became a favorite of mine as we never saw him out of makeup, which was very disconcerting. And, you know, he'd come over and go, "Hi, Lee, good morning." Well, why are you talking to me? So I think they are all my favorites, you know, because I feel very warm and fuzzy about the series. And hopefully there will be many more after this as well. I also love the scary people, the dead people who are dressed just as normal people that sort of show up in different places. And I don't know if you've ever been in your own home, but literally out of the corner of your eye, you go,
yeah.
and there's nobody there, but you could have sworn. I mean, it really is, I think everybody's had that. Yeah. You know, whatever that peripheral vision thing is. And, you know, James is also a master, and now Lee as well, of creating those moments where you go, was that what I thought it was? So you have a big thrill ahead of you.
People who make haunted house films always talk about being on the location and frightening stuff happening for real on the set. Did anything like that happen on this one, or did anything else interesting happen while you were shooting?
That's a good question, too. Most of this film was shot on stage. There were two, the beginning of the film, or there's a section in Elise's house, which we have established actually from the first film, which is really an old house over 100 years old in Los Angeles, which is definitely full of, you know, old energy. I mean, the man who lives there is this older man who has not changed one iota. He's lived there for almost 50 years, I think. And most fly infestation in my living room, which I don't know what that was about. I had a dead rat in our pool, which was floating around when I came out one morning. I had a feral cat, a wild cat in our neighborhood, get into my house somehow and go streaking across my living room. I had no idea what it was. I didn't know if it was a rat or a mole, and it was this big tortoiseshell animal with ears laying flat going, So,
Maybe the cat was responsible for the dead rat.
maybe, except he doesn't swim. But anyway, but on set itself, I think it was more, it's more work as usual. I mean, you had a lot to take care of, a lot to do, a lot to remember, a lot to navigate. And so, as I said, though, the story is very emotional. So for me, I was always having something happen. But most of the stuff, that all kind of lives inside of you as well. So as much as I said, it was business as usual, I guess some of it I took home with me.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Right down here.
I don't think not really. I mean, you always hope that people love what you do. I mean, that's for me the bottom line. I always do the best I can. I take my work very seriously, no matter what it is, and I work very hard. And you hope that people receive it. I mean, that's because it really is about creation and reception. Without you guys, there's no movie. And so you wonder what are those elements that draw your audience in and that make it successful. And it's interesting because as much as I knew the quality of what we were doing, and Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne and Barbara and Ty, I mean, everybody was so wonderful to work with and worked so hard. And James is totally a master at what he does. He knows how to build scares. He knows how to tell a really appealing and very universal story in some ways. So those are all elements should be successful. But still, then there's the marketing, and then there's will people go see it. There's so many elements. And what's fascinating is, as successful as the first one was, which was very successful, it grows. It's like a snowball. Now that we're at the third one, I mean, I think when the first trailer came out, I think there were almost 6 million hits within the first 12 hours. It was crazy. So we didn't know, but we are very happy.
Back there? Yes,
Hi.
I'm a big fan. I was wondering, there aren't many horror movies made in 3D, and a lot of those platforms like action, animation, where they utilize 3D a lot more than they do horror. What do you think about doing more horror big budget films in 3D, and how, as an actress, would you feel about being a 3D film?
As an actress, I pretty much approach everything the same way, so that would have no real reflection on certainly the way I work. The one thing that does have a reflection on how you work is if you're in heavy makeup, masked makeup of any kind, you really have to alter your performance to read, so that you would know what that character is feeling. In terms of the work on 3D, I don't think it changes very much. I'm not a fan of gimmicks, particularly. I come out of theater, and for better or for worse. But so as much as I think that's a very powerful tool to titillate your audience and excite them and bring you into big scares. I remember seeing a movie called The House of Wax when I was a little girl.
I love that movie.
The original House of Wax with the glasses. And it was such a unique experience, and so I remember being very excited about that and how scary that movie was, partly because it was in 3D. And I've seen some other things. I think I saw one of the Pirates of Caribbean in 3D or whatever, and the thing with the fish going, swimming at you, and the other thing flying around. And I thought, who cares? It's like, tell me a story. Let me see what are these people doing? So I come from the old school. I like cursive writing. I like talking on the telephone to people so they can hear what you're really thinking. And I like storytelling in a more traditional sense. So I think of something. I don't think it's necessary to amplify a great story with 3D. Again, it might be fun and sort of an experience, you know, to see a film like that. But to me, it doesn't take the place of really good storytelling, good acting, beautiful, you know, cinematography, and you know, love for the genre of filmmaking.
Down in front.
What would you say is the scariest experience you've had in real life, and the scariest movie that really scared you?
Oh wow! One of the movies that really, a movie called Repulsion, which I still get chills when I think, and I don't remember the details. I couldn't tell you what that movie was about right now, except that Catherine Deneuve was in it and beautiful, and was not happy in that movie. But there was something about the atmosphere of that film that just stayed inside of me in some way. I'm not scared by horror films very much. I mean, scary images are not something I let in. I think is really the bottom line. I'm very cautious about what I really take into my psyche, because I feel I am very vulnerable, and I've had some scary things happen, but mostly fear is what you create, in my opinion. And it's when you lose control of being able to censor stuff for yourself, and you kind of give over to, you know, listen, one of the great sayings ever was from FDR, you know, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, and that's really sort of true, I think. So I've been very cautious about what I let into to make me really scared. I don't know, I think I have more sadness sometimes than fear, because there's so much stuff going around right now in general. You don't have to get into any political discussion of any sort of anything, but in terms of movie land, I think Repulsion was probably, for me, the scariest movie I ever saw. You have to make it up. I mean, that one scene, which I'm grateful to say was one of the most successful scenes in the first one, we shot it the second day where I'm in Dalton's bedroom, and I look up and I see the demon for the first time, and all it said in the script was, she looks up and sees something. So I thought, okay, it's the second day of shooting, am I going to make it to the third day? And even the mumbling, which this was kind of scary. I mean, it sort of wrote itself. I mean, whatever I see up there, I couldn't really tell you exactly what I'm seeing, but there was an atmosphere and a surrender to fear, to being afraid, and kind of using I remember remembering what the drawing on the wall was of the red-faced demon, and about the hooves. And I remember James saying to me, the only thing he said to me as I was kind of talking about is, you can't really hear what I'm saying, and then you hear key words, which worked great. I mean, which it did work great. And then he said, say it's oppurtunes. And I remember him telling me that, and I did, and that's one of the also kind of creepier moments in that sequence. In terms of, it's really like having to make stuff up, you know, and allowing yourself into whatever that fear is that, you know, again, it's private for everybody maybe, so it's not something I can really go into depth to discuss. And it's a feeling. I mean, it's like you can create feelings. This is part of your work as an actor. You can create an emotion by images. And sometimes I do use that. And sometimes I don't even know I'm using it, and I use it. Because it's like they file in. And I think some of that happened in that moment when I was looking up. So that was a challenge, and another sort of scary thing, which was also fun though, is they fly me across the room in one portion of Insidious 3. I won't tell you exactly what it's all about, but I got to do some stunt work.
That's cool.
And I begged them, and I could hear so I got to do a little bit of it. And that was just fun. That wasn't something scary, it's just fun.
So on that track, I have to ask, when you're doing the scene of the first film with the gas mask and everything, was there a point where you were like,
I'm glad you asked about the gas mask. Lee said, so in this scene, you're going to be in the gas mask. And I said, okay, good, cool. So the guys were building the props, the prop guys had a gas mask that they had sort of built. And we were sitting at the table getting ready for the seance, and they come over and they say, okay, got it. You know, you're always on the clock. I mean, how long is it till lunch? They put this thing on me, and a piece of steel is hitting me in the nose, and they got another thing poking me in the mouth, and the other one's in my eye. Guys, I said, it doesn't quite fit. So Lee, Specs and Tucker were sitting at the table, and James was going, what's wrong? I said, it's a little uncomfortable. I don't know how long I can stay with this. So they took it back. They were like, hurry up, gotta hurry up. So they came back, I don't know, they fiddle with something. They came back, and now I've got something literally jamming up my nose on one side. And the back of my neck is like, and I go, guys, I said, I'm good to go. Could you just like unbend this one little piece here and this other? And finally, I don't know what they did, but they finally got the third time was the charm. They put this thing on, and like I said, good. Yeah, great. Let's go. So we did the scene, and the best part was the mumbling that we got to do, which actually I did in an SUV with the windows up. This is low budget happen. SUV with the windows up, and the sound guys got the thing through the window. It's open this much, so you better not screw it up. I think we broke the window. And I had the script. And I'm actually reading the material, and lo and behold, it all worked. So that was fun.
Basta.
It's all fun. That's the other thing. It's all team. It's a team sport, you guys, and you're lucky if you love your team, and you got to be a good team player. No complaining. Just you problem solve as you go. You be as prepared as you can be. Sometimes even then, nerves get the best of me sometimes. I'll like all of a sudden not know where I am for 2 minutes. Where are we? What are we doing? When you're dehydrated and you're tired and there's too much atmosphere smoke that gets to your brain, it's hard work. It's totally not an easy job. Anybody who thinks it's easy is wrong.
any other down here?
It's much more fun to be practical, in my opinion. I mean, because you want to be a part of it. And I mean, obviously there's certain things that, for safety reasons or whatever, you just can't, you either can't really do, or just impractical, literally impractical. You can't make them practical. And they're, listen, the digital world is totally beautiful in terms of enhancement and making effects happen that have an effect on you guys or me as well, when you see it. Green screen acting is quite interesting, which is where you're sitting in a chair like this, basically, and there's a green screen behind you, and you kind of know what's going on behind you, but they put all that in later. And actually, there's an event that's going to be around the country. I hope this is okay, though. Everyone is good. It's going to be a fan event with virtual reality.
There's a video on
And
that.
we
I'll show you.
and it's totally fabulous. So if that comes your way, I don't miss it. And that was that kind of an adventure for me as an actor. Because I only knew what was going to happen, but I wasn't really involved in everything that was happening. I had to make that all up in my head. And that was challenging for me. I'll probably see it till I see what you see. You know, they tell you what it is, and you know what it is, but it's different than really, you know, when you're in the experience, obviously. So you really have to make up your reactions, and it's part of the acting process, you know, which is both fun but challenging. You know, you always hope you get it. I always hope I do a good job.
Over here.
As an actress, most of the time when you do several movies from 1 to 3, there's always like a certain image that they're trying to display for each person. And for you, what is, even though you're reading the lines and even though you're displaying the character that they want you to display, what is something that you personally want as, like, you know, us, even us sitting here as fans, like, what is something that you personally want to portray to us, even though you're still, acting? What is something that you hope to reach or hope to give out? You know, because it's, as you said earlier, you watch your intake on what you receive. So, when you're portraying something out, what is it that you're portraying to, like, people like us? Like, what is something that you want to give off personally to us?
That's a good question. You know, storytelling, I mean, we all have the same bank of emotions. I mean, all of us. And I think for me personally, as an actor, I feel, not even job-wise, but sort of artistically and humanistically, to just make you experience something inside yourself in a safe place, which is what seeing a movie is, and is, I think, part of the appeal of going to the movies, even as opposed to watching something on television or at home. There's some experience that you have as a community, where people are in a safe place and can feel afraid, can feel sad, can feel angry, but you're in a safe environment and it's being promoted by what I'm putting out to you. So as an actress, that's what's interesting to me, is that I can provide a safe place for all of you to experience things that maybe you would be afraid to experience in real life. And there's something really therapeutic about being able to, you know, when you hear people cheering, and sporting events are a little bit like that too, but where you feel everybody together is feeling an emotion. And there's a great comfort in, I think, that community. And so as an actor, that's kind of what I hope to provide as an artist to you guys.
Over there.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. I wish I could see you guys. I can't see a thing.
You know what? I wish, you know what? I am so much entitled to give you gratis esteem. You are a phenomenal actress, and I myself one time wanted to be an actor. You have taken a lot of great scripts. I want to know, number one, question one, what really triggered you to follow along with the trilogy for your stance as a career person? What made you be attached to this project, knowing that it could possibly staple you into a genre? Are you comfortable in that genre?
Yes, because first of all, in this particular situation, I love the people. James Wan and Lee Winnell are two extraordinary artists, both of them. Totally. I mean, you haven't even begun to see where they're going to go in their careers. I mean, James just directed Fast and Furious 7,
Right.
which is, when you think of Saw, you know, which was only 10 years ago, which is not that long ago. These were two these were two young filmmakers in Australia that said, so let's write 5 minutes and see if we can go to America and make a movie. I mean, that was their dream. And that's what they did. And they came here and they, you know, people always ask, how do you get started? Well, you know how you get started? You start. That's the first thing you do. You start. Yeah.
Someone is here from the network, I think.
Yo, this is serious.
Thank you. I'll certainly check it out. I mean, I haven't had that kind of a recommendation for anything in a very long time.
All right, dude.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one last question. Over here.
Wait, say again. You have to speak a little bit louder. No, I'd never say I'm not going to do it. The only thing I wouldn't do for me is if I knew I was in true danger, which sometimes a film can put you in, because they'll go, you know, we don't have enough money to do that, right? So could you like just stand on the edge over there and hang 1 foot over under the window below? And you really, and you know, it's funny because since we are actors and we listen to our directors, there's a piece of you that goes, okay, you know, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to just like straddle this thing and put my foot down and I think it's because I've finally gotten old. I mean, if something smells dangerous like that, physically dangerous, I'm the first one to speak up about it. Because sometimes, but in terms of story or in terms of being afraid to explore something in terms of storyline or emotionality, I'm fearless. I'll do anything. Anything you want to throw my way, I'll try and do my best. But physical danger is something that it's just a movie, and there have been accidents that have happened that are senseless, and I'm very much aware of my own personal safety on set. I don't turn that over to anybody but myself.
I think we'll leave the fear for audiences. All of you guys, June 5th, Insidious Chapter 3 in theaters. Please all go check it out. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
And we want to thank Michael Gingold.
Thank you for having me.
Fangoria. And who wants to take a selfie? I think Lynn is up for it. So here's what we're going to do. All right, I'll tell you what. So Lynn, let's take a selfie. I'm going to post it to social media. Okay? But first, I'll tell you what. Everybody, if you could everyone move in this way. We want everybody in the background of this.